welcome to Life of Art. I'm Czaana Saxena, and with me today I have Morgan St. Jean. She's a singer-songwriter, and could you introduce yourself more?
Sure. Hi, I'm Morgan St. Jean. You actually said my name right, which a lot of people say it wrong. So well done. I'm a singer-songwriter. I am born and raised in Los Angeles. I still live here. It's an amazing city, and I'm very lucky to be from here. Yeah, I write a lot of music, a lot of women-inspired music. I'm very inspired by empowered women and badass women. So I write a lot about that, but I also write about just whatever's happening in my life. And yeah,
You were just talking about like that I just got your name correct. I can like relate to you because my name also like barely anyone gets it right because it's
yeah,
spelled very weirdly. So
yeah.
yeah,
I was wondering when I saw your name, I was like, I wonder how she pronounces that. So there
Zana.
you go.
So the C is silent. So yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to talk about it. So you write all of your songs, right?
Yes.
So I know that you write. So she writes a lot about feminism and women empowerment and stuff. So how exactly do you like get your ideas to write them?
I think it just depends on the day. I can be inspired by anything from an Instagram caption to a TikTok video to something happening in my own life or one of my friends' lives. I love to do TikToks where I'm like reacting to some like misogynistic dude,
Yeah.
and I'll write a song kind of inspired by whatever he said. But yeah, it really just depends on the day. And I tend to start with titles or concepts. So I'll walk into a session or I write a lot by myself. So I'll just sit down and I'll be like, okay, I know I want to write a song with this title and then kind of just piece it together.
Okay, you have a song called "Right," which you guys should listen to, by the way. And it's like a response to the Roe v. Wade case. Like you can't take
Yes.
right away from women. And I think that was so cool. And you also went in front of like a famous place and sang it, which was like so wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that was very cool. I was a little intimidating, I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't know if it was legal. So I went to downtown Los Angeles and I went in front of the LA Superior Courthouse.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do it in like Washington, D.C. or somewhere, in front of the Supreme Court or something. But for now, I live in Los Angeles, so it made most sense to do it here. But I went in front of the LA Superior Courthouse with my guitar player and we performed my song Right as sort of like a protest.
Yeah.
And we had to do it very quickly because every time a security guard walked by, I like panicked and we had to stop and start over because I was so nervous. But it ended up being really cool. And I hope it was as powerful as I felt when I was there.
Yeah. How did like the crowd or whatever react? Were people?
We didn't even have a crowd. This was just
Oh.
for video. So we
Okay.
didn't tell anybody. I figured if I told people and people showed up, that would probably draw more attention and get
Yeah.
me into trouble.
Okay.
So I just brought my guitar player and my videographer and we
Wow.
just literally like dropped everything, shot it, performed it. I panicked a few times and then we left. I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. I really wanted it to be something that like anyone from anywhere could see and be like, this is clearly like a protesting moment,
Yeah,
you
it
know?
was. And the fact about like using songs and like art to protest just makes it so much more it just makes it so much more empowering because art is influensive in itself and then you use that as a way to, get your point across. So
Yeah.
when you write your song, right? So say you have a song that you've written, what all do you
Mhm.
need to do before that song can get like fully made and released? So what all?
So there's a couple of steps. That's a very good question. So let's say I write a song, just me and the piano, which is like one of my favorite ways to write. Typically what I'll do is I'll get a voice memo or like a very simple recording and I'll take it to my producer. My producer's name is Alex and I work with a couple of producers, but he's like my main number one producer. And I'll go to his studio and we'll talk about kind of like sonically what we want it to sound like and what we want it to feel like and kind of just talk about inspiration. If there's other songs that we feel like are similar, we'll talk about those songs and we'll listen to them. And then I'll sit there with him. Sometimes it takes a few days, sometimes it takes a few weeks.
Okay.
And we'll just everything we do together, we'll pick every single drum sound, every single piano sound. If we need to re-record the vocal, which sometimes the first vocal is just the most honest and raw and authentic one.
Yeah.
And sometimes we want to re-record the vocals. So it just depends on the song and the kind of emotion behind it. But so yeah, so then we'll produce it and then we have to get it mixed and mastered, which is just like those are just like nerdy music terms for like getting the song solidified and done, you know, sonically. And then yeah, and then there's some like distribution stuff that you have to do. You have to get artwork made,
Yeah,
and
like covers
it's
and
it's kind of
stuff.
a long process.
Oh, okay, so how long does it take from writing a song to actually getting it released?
Well, it depends on the song, you know, and it depends on for any given artist. It depends on like, do they have a label that has to approve of things, or do they are they independent? You know, it really just depends on the
Yeah.
situation. But you know, typically I would say at least a couple of weeks, if not months.
Okay.
But for me, I've been really lucky that if I've had songs go viral on TikTok or whatever, we figure out a way to get them out quickly because it's really important to me that if I post a song and my fans love it and connect with it, I want them to have it as soon as possible.
Okay. So like we were just talking about this before we started recording about
Mhm.
like how you sometimes like release little snippets of your songs to see if people
Mhm.
like them. And a lot of them do, but then did people ever like ask you, "Oh, what song is this? I mean, when are you going to release it?" Do you ever feel like ooh, by that?
I mean, listen, I appreciate any support that I get. So if somebody loves one of my songs, that just makes me feel really good. Um, the only time it can be a little stressful is if it like goes viral and a lot of people love the song, and then you're like, do I put this out? Do I rush to put this out? Do I
Yeah.
wait? Do I, you know, that's sometimes a little stressful, but it's honestly such a great problem to have because it means that the music is connecting with people.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So as someone who has like strong opinions on, women empowerment, which I like completely agree with, but there are obviously people who disagree with it and you'd face like a lot more hate probably than someone who doesn't have so much like meaning in their songs. So do you face that much hate and then like how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I have faced a lot of hate, especially because exactly like you said, I do talk about things that people, you know, find polarizing and people find some people it upsets them. I mean, sometimes I laugh because I'm like, how is the lyric "You wish you could do it like a girl" upsetting?
Yeah.
You know, like that says a
How
lot
is
more
it?
about the person
Yeah.
that it's upsetting than it does about me for singing it. Um, so like, yeah, I mean, if you look at my Instagram comments, like for some reason I find TikTok to be much more supportive. Like my comments on TikTok are really nice, and my comments on Instagram, it's a lot of like, I think it's mainly like insecure men who
Yeah.
feel like I'm saying that men are bad or something because I'm talking
Yeah.
about how women are great. But that's not the case. You know, I'm talking about how women are amazing because I think we're underrated. I'm
Yeah.
not doing it in a comparative way, you know? But I really, to be honest, it doesn't really bother me.
Okay.
Um, you know, I think the fact that people are talking about me means I'm doing something right. And if I was doing nothing, then they would have nothing to say. And so I would rather be like in the arena and like, you know, taking some positivity and some negativity than nothing at all. And I think it means I'm doing something, you know, that matters, hopefully.
Yeah, so like kind of any publicity is good publicity kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think, you know, most of the time when someone's leaving a hate comment on social media, they're not super happy with their own life,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I try to just send them love and realize that they're probably not super happy, and I'm very lucky and I'm very blessed, and I, you know, get to do the thing I love every day for my job. So I just send them love and hope that they can grow.
And they can like get over the reason that they're, insecure about themselves to need
Yeah,
to spread
exactly.
that hate. Yeah. Have you ever been like has there ever been something unfair to you that has happened in the industry because of
Oh, yeah.
your yeah?
Yeah, I mean the music industry is brutal. It's tough, you know. I think there's so much like bureaucracy and just like people that you have to impress, and it's sometimes it's really hard to just be yourself and let that be enough.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but I've dealt with men in the industry making me feel inferior. I have there have been plenty of opportunities where I was like I was perfect for this thing, but I didn't get it because I didn't know the right person, or
Okay.
you know, for whatever reason. People have there are dumb reasons for everything, but I don't let it stop me, and I just try to keep going.
What is the most brutal thing about the industry?
It's interesting because I grew up in Los Angeles, and when you grow up in a place like LA, you know, it's like the center of entertainment.
Yeah.
And I was a little girl, and I would tell people, especially like my friends' parents who are in the entertainment industry or the music industry, I would say, you know, I want to be a musician when I grow up. And they'd be like, if you can do anything else and be happy, go do that thing because this is so hard. And I never understood it. I was like, why? Like, what makes it so hard?
Yeah.
I think now having been in it, it's tough because I pride myself on being really, really hardworking. I like really value work ethic and I
Yeah.
really believe in it. And that doesn't always necessarily translate to success in this
Yeah.
industry, and that's really hard. Um, and it's also just such a game of patience, you know, like I finally, people are starting to know my music and care about my music, and that took years, like so many years, you know. And so you really have to like hold the faith in your vision of your life and your career, and not let rejection stop you, because you just get rejected all the time. I've really had
Yeah.
to learn to become comfortable with rejection.
So you need to like getting over rejection is very important then.
I would say so, yeah, like a thick skin.
Okay. What do you need to succeed in the music industry? Do you think there's a lot of luck in it?
I would say yes, but I am currently really working. I mean, that song that we were talking about that I posted today on Instagram, you know, I really believe that you can make your own luck.
Okay.
You know, my dad always says like I think there's a quote, maybe it was probably Will Smith or someone I think who said it, and my dad quoted him, and it's like luck happens when preparation meets resilience or
Oh
something
yeah.
like that. Like, you know, you just keep going and you keep going and you keep going and you hone your craft. And then eventually like one little door cracks open and you can push that one open, and then you're stuck again
Yeah.
and you keep going and keep going. But I think the main ingredient that requires is passion, because
Yeah.
why would you work that hard for something if you didn't really, really love it and really
Exactly.
feel like a deep connection to it? So,
And that's about
yeah.
like any job, right? That there's
Yeah.
no point in doing it if you're not passionate enough about it to keep going despite a lot of people or a lot of things stopping you. So,
Yeah.
how did you start out? Like you were talking about how when you were a kid, you when you told people you wanted to be a musician, right? That means you wanted to be a musician since you were like kind of small. So,
Yeah.
how did you start and like get into the industry?
Yeah. I mean, I've wanted to be a singer since I was so little. Like I think my godparents got me a karaoke machine when I was like 5 years old. And
Okay.
I was like, perfect. I'm gonna be the next Christina Aguilera, and that's that, you know. Obviously I didn't think about all the steps between where
Yeah.
I was 5 and where Christina Aguilera was, but I just always knew. So I basically started writing songs when I was about 9 years old. My parents got me a songwriting journal,
Okay.
and my first song was called My First Hit Song. And I still remember it to this day, but it was just, I didn't even play any instruments or anything. So, I mean, I think my parents had me taking like piano lessons, but I wasn't writing with instruments. I was just singing melodies and putting words to them.
Okay.
And then I sang in choirs and I did like musical theater and stuff. And then I studied music in college. I went to a school called USC, and I studied in a program called the Popular Music Program. And that was where I really like honed my craft and like learned about the craft of songwriting. And you
Yeah.
know, I learned every single week I was performing on stage in front of my peers, which was like intimidating but kind of forced me to get comfortable with being
Yeah.
uncomfortable. And yeah, I mean, I don't think any school, it was sort of like the college version of Camp Rock, if you've ever
Oh,
seen Camp
okay.
Rock. It was
Yeah.
very fun. But I don't think any school can teach you how to be an artist or can teach you like what your message should be. But I think it taught me like the foundation of how to be a musician. And then I had to take that and decide like, what do I want my message to be? What do I want to say to people? What do I want, you know, my career to look like? So, yeah.
Okay. Um, wow. So, do you think like plain talent, like someone who's really, really, really talented, can make it into the industry?
Do I think they can make it just on talent alone?
Yeah, or like what else do you need other than just talent?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it takes more than talent, and that's one of those hard truths about the
Yeah.
music industry that can be really heartbreaking. Is like I've seen friends who are, I consider them way more talented than me, you know, and if you don't have that like work ethic and you don't have that drive and that ambition and the passion like we were talking about, I just don't think it's enough. I think it takes talent and hard work. I think it takes resilience. I think you have to be, like I always say, I think every good artist is also an entrepreneur at the same time.
Okay.
And like you are the product, right? Like you are the thing that you're selling. But at the same time, you want to think of it like a business, because if you want to make it a business, you have to treat it that way, right? And so it's not very like sexy, right? It's not, I mean, it's not the glamorous part of being a
Yeah.
musician, but I think it's really if you want it to be your job, you have to treat it like a business. And I was raised by business people, so that might be like where that mentality comes
Yeah.
from. But I always said the one thing that I can control is how hard I work. And no one can take that away from me, you know? And so I think if you love it and you're so passionate about it and you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to face the rejection, and you're willing to deal with hate comments and whatever else comes with it, then I think anyone can do it.
Okay, I like how you said that the one thing that you can control is how hard you work and like how much grit you have. And I
Yeah.
think that makes sense. Like a lot of people, including me, sometimes think about, oh, this is happening and she's doing this and stuff like that. But then the one thing I can control is how I deal with it, sort of.
Right.
So yeah,
I
we should
mean,
focus
and the
a lot more on
comparison
that.
thing is really tough. Like you were saying, like you look at other people and you're like, well, she's doing that or he's doing that,
Yeah,
right? And I've really struggled with that. I mean, that has been a years long battle for me because especially with social media, it's so easy to just look at all of your friends or look at everyone you know and be like,
yeah,
they must be happier than me. They're way more successful than me. They're
yeah,
whatever. And it's taken a lot for me to realize that like that doesn't serve me in any way, you
yeah.
know? So one of my friends one time said a quote to me and it really stuck with me. He said, jealousy is like drinking poison and expecting your enemy to die. And so it's like being
Wow.
jealous doesn't hurt anybody except for
Except for,
yourself.
yeah. I mean, the whole social media conversation could take like hours to talk about
Mm-hmm.
like how people only post like the good parts of their life. Like even I
Right.
only post the good things. I don't like post myself when I'm crying or something, right? And
Totally.
and
Right.
so does everyone else. So yeah, that makes
Yeah,
a lot of
it's
sense.
I mean, I think it's just important to recognize that. And I think social media can be so positive. That's like how I've found my entire community of
Yeah,
listener, but and it's great if you want to stay in touch with friends who live across the world or like whatever. But
there's a
I think you have
negative
to
side as well.
yeah, you have to like understand what it is and like recognize it for the positive and the negative.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like that's how you interact with your friends, fans, and as well, right? Like through
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah, I mean, I started kind of getting a little bit of attention during the pandemic. So
Yeah.
social media was really the only way
To
to
do that.
interact with people,
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about like your advice and sort of the not so good things about the industry, but what is the best thing about being a full-time musician?
I mean, there's so many things. First of all, like just to be an artist I think it's the best thing ever. Like I feel just so lucky that like I get to write songs and put my feelings to words and then I get to put that out there and then excuse me, then all these other people come back and are like, "Wait, I've totally felt that too." Like
Yeah.
there is nothing better, getting a DM from someone who's like this song saved my life or this song, got me through my breakup or got me to report my assault or like just the
Yeah.
messages that I get and the support, it just makes me feel like human beings are really so deeply connected and I just think that's so cool. And also to like play shows is one of the best things ever,
Yeah.
to get to meet people and like really see face to face. Like we were talking about, you know, social media, you don't see people face to face when you only know that you just see numbers. Like you don't see that there's a face behind every single one
Yeah.
of those numbers. And so getting to play shows and really starting to like meet people and like see the way that my words have impacted them and that we can like connect on this like really intimate level,
Yeah.
is just so cool.
Like seeing other people sort of relate to what you are making. That
Yeah,
must be
exactly.
amazing. Yeah. So you're talking about live shows. How is
Yes.
that? How are your live shows?
I mean, I love playing live. I think there's going to be a lot more live, like for me, in the next couple of months, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to get to play in some places that I've never played before. It's not announced yet, but there's going to be
Yeah.
some shows, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, I mean, it's just like I get nervous. I definitely get stage fright, but I think of it as a good thing because it means I just love it so much and I care so much.
Yeah.
But it's just like magical. I mean, I recently I opened for a friend of mine in LA and we have a very like similar fan base. And it was just not only did I feel so connected to her because she was like giving me all of this amazing advice
Yeah.
before I went on stage, but I just like I've never felt so connected to an audience in my life. Like they literally like reminded me why I want to make music and like why I love
Yeah.
making music, and just getting to talk to people and hear their stories and give them hugs. It was just like, ugh, I could never get enough.
Yeah, it's really fun to be on stage in general. I mean, the stage fright is there, but that's there for like everyone. Even the
Hmm.
like most famous and talented person gets stage fright. So that's
Totally.
so yeah, that's just normal. But yeah, I would like to formally request you to please consider coming to Singapore if you
Oh, I
have a
would
world
love
tour.
to. Let's
Yeah,
manifest it together. That would
yes,
be
please.
so awesome.
Yeah, that would be really amazing. I would love to come to a show. I mean, if I ever come to LA and you have a show, then yeah. But I've never been to LA, but I really want to because it's like the entertainment hub, like you said,
Yeah,
and
you should
yeah,
absolutely come. You would love it.
yeah, I can imagine. So
It's
yeah,
special.
and so to kind of like sort of end off, what would you like? I have a
And
lot of friends. Like I'm 13, right? So I have a lot of friends my age who are interested in in becoming musicians and getting into the industry. So what would you tell them or your 13-year-old self?
that is such a good question. And also, you are so like smart and mature. Like, I'm so blown away that you're 13 years old. That is so
Oh,
awesome.
thank
Good
you.
for you. Um, Advice that I would give to a 13-year-old, I mean, I think like the best life advice that I would give and that I wish I would have been told when I was 13 is like, you are enough.
Yeah.
You are absolutely enough as you are. You don't need to be somebody else. You don't, need to envy other people because like who you are is so interesting and so exciting. And like your story is your story and own that. And, really like, if you want to turn that into art, turn it into art. If you want to just like enjoy it in the moment, then do that. But I don't think enough 13-year-olds are told that like they are just enough. Who they
Yeah.
are is enough, and that's interesting enough, and it's cool enough, and it's, you know,
Good enough. Yeah.
unique enough. Yeah, it's good enough.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people like want to be someone else. Like they see someone on social media and they're like, I really want to be that person. But as much as you try, you can't be better than that person. But you can be
Hmm.
like better, like best at yourself, kind of thing. It's so
Exactly.
cliched. It's so
Totally.
cliched, but it's true, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think like especially when you're 13, you're at least for me, like I feel like I was almost like and this lasted for me for a while, but like trying on personality traits and like trying to figure out
yeah,
who I wanted to be. And it's like just enjoy that process because you can be anything you want.
yeah.
You can be whatever you choose to be. And that's just like so cool.
And you also don't need to have like just one personality, is what I'm kind of
No.
realizing.
Yeah.
Whenever I talk to different kinds of people, my personality changes, my accent changes, who I
Yeah.
am changes. So
And
yeah,
there's things to be learned from everybody, you can always learn something. And
yeah,
I just think I think human beings are so amazing and so beautiful. And like when we just can connect with each other and have conversations like this and learn from each other and help each other and support each other, like it's just so powerful.
yeah. And I think you're really empowering and powerful, like from your music itself. But now that I've also like talked to you,
Oh, thank
it's
you.
so nice to see
Thank you
people
so
doing
much.
something like this. Yeah. And is there anything else? Are there any questions you'd like me to ask you about, or anything
I
you'd like
mean,
to say?
I think you nailed it. You did such a fantastic job. I'm
Oh,
so
thank you.
impressed.
Yeah.
You are just so like awesome. It's so cool to see, someone your age just like taking such initiative and reaching out and
Thank you.
scheduling something like this. And, hopefully I can meet you in person in Singapore
Yeah,
someday.
hopefully. And thank you for saying yes to this. I mean, I've
Of
emailed a
course.
lot of people, but you agreed to it, so thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'm so happy to do it. And I'm so glad that you relate to the music and that it resonates with you. And hopefully there will be much more.
Yeah, I hope for hopefully there'll be a lot of new songs and a lot of new shows that I would love to watch and listen to.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. It was so good to meet you.
You too, and thank you everyone watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, see you next time. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.